Ever feel like you're just going through the motions at work? Like dreaming of the day you're the one calling the shots?
Ugh, tell me about it.
Well, that's actually what we're diving into today.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You guys specifically requested this one. How to make yourselves so incredibly valuable, basically indispensable,
Okay, I like where this is going.
that you end up charting your own path, maybe even, to that corner office someday.
Love it.
So we've got all your notes, we've got some really insightful articles we dug up,
Okay.
and even a really cool real-life success story we're going to get to later that'll have you thinking, well, if they can do it.
All right, you've got my attention. What did those sources say? What struck you?
Well, first of all, I was really glad we went this route because it seems like everyone's tired of the vague be a hard worker stuff.
Oh, for sure. Those articles are a dime a dozen.
Right. Like my notes were filled with, okay, but how W?
Mm-hmm.
So luckily, these sources actually delivered.
They did.
Yeah. They went beyond the motivational fluff. Instead, they actually break down very specific skills, very actionable strategies that can take you from just being an employee to a recognized leader in your field.
Okay, that's what I like to hear. Practical advice you can actually use. So where do we start?
Right. Well, they all kind of agreed on this one thing. It's more than just being good in your job.
Okay, more than good. I can see that.
It's about becoming the go-to expert in your specific niche, whatever that may be.
I like that. So it's about finding that one thing and really owning it. Become the master of your domain.
Exactly. So think about your current role, right? What's one area where you could develop some serious knowledge or a skill that maybe other people haven't tapped into yet?
Yeah, find that knowledge gap and fill it. Make yourself the expert everyone goes to.
Exactly. Because it's not just about doing the tasks, right? It's
Yeah.
about understanding the why behind
Mhm.
them and how you can constantly add value beyond what's expected.
So think it strategically about your role. I like it.
Yes. And they actually take it a step further than that. They talk about connecting your work to the company's bottom line.
Show them your worth. I love it. But how do you actually do that? I mean, it's easy to say, right?
Right. But for example, let's say you finished a big project recently. Instead of just saying, I did this, you can actually connect the dots. Like, because I did this, the company achieved this. You're highlighting that direct impact.
Okay, so it's about framing your contributions in a way that resonates with the company's goals. I like it.
Right. And if you could put numbers to it, even better.
Quantify those wins.
Exactly. Like, I improved this process by X%, which saved the company Y dollars. Those numbers are powerful.
It's not just about working hard, it's about working smart. Showing them you understand the business side of things, too.
Yes. And it's almost like you're running this mini business within the company, always thinking about the return on investment of your efforts.
Love that. It's about being proactive, not just reactive.
Yes. And they actually hammered home this point about proactivity. So many of the sources did.
Being a go-getter.
No.
Anticipating needs before they even become problems.
Exactly. But the thing is, it's really easy to say, be proactive. Be proactive, right?
Right. But what does that actually look like day to day?
Totally. So do you remember any specific examples from those sources? Because I'm trying to picture, like, how do I translate that into action?
Yeah, actually, there's this one that really stuck with me. It was about this employee who kept noticing all these inefficiencies in one of the software programs everybody used.
Oh, I hate that. It's like, why is this so complicated?
Right. And most people just kind of grumbled about it, but this person took it upon themselves to learn the software inside and out, became the resident expert, identified all the issues, and then went to their manager with solutions.
Well, that's brilliant.
Right.
So they not only made themselves the go-to person for that software,
Streamlined the process for everyone.
and I bet you saved the company a ton of time and money in the process.
Exactly. It's about seeing a problem and taking ownership.
Okay, that's impressive. And I think that highlights something else those sources touched on. Don't be afraid to go above and beyond, even if it's not technically in your job description.
Right. Volunteer for those new projects.
Seek out those opportunities to learn new things.
Become an invaluable resource for your team.
Okay, so not just the boss's pet, but someone who genuinely cares about the company succeeding.
Oh, absolutely. This isn't about sucking up. It's about aligning yourself with the company's success. And that starts with truly understanding the company's mission, its values, really getting how your role plays into the larger picture.
So it's like you're not just seeing your job as this list of tasks on a to-do list.
Right.
But you see how it all fits together like a puzzle piece to contribute to this bigger vision.
You become a stakeholder, not just an employee. And that changes everything.
Okay, I like that. So we've got becoming the go-to expert in your niche. We've got connecting your work back to those bigger company goals. And we've got that proactive mindset. What else makes someone stand out on this quest to be irreplaceable?
You know, all the sources agree that building strong relationships is absolutely crucial.
Okay, yeah.
Networking.
But it's deeper than that. It's not about being everyone's best friend. It's about strategic networking and real collaboration.
Okay, so fostering those connections within your team, obviously important, but it sounds like it goes way beyond that.
Way beyond. You want to be building bridges to different departments.
Okay.
Getting to know people in other areas of the company, understanding their roles, seeing where you can collaborate.
I can see how that would be so valuable because it's one thing to be the superstar in your own little corner.
Siloed.
Yes. But it's another thing to understand how all the pieces of the puzzle fit together.
And you become that connector, the one who can bring people together to work on those cross-functional projects.
And I bet that makes you a more valuable, well-rounded employee in the process. Someone who sees the bigger picture, not just their little piece of it.
Exactly. It broadens your perspective and helps you make more informed decisions.
Makes sense. Which actually leads perfectly into the next big thing they all stressed.
Oh, what's that?
Communication.
Ah, yes. Communication, that came up a lot.
Yeah.
Like if you want to climb that ladder, strong communication is non-negotiable.
Right. It's not enough to just do the work. You've got to be able to clearly and effectively communicate what you're doing, what progress you're making.
Oh, 100%. Think about it from a manager's perspective. They don't have time to micromanage every single person. They need their team to keep them in the loop.
Exactly. Send those regular updates.
Don't be afraid to ask for feedback.
Show them you're invested, not just clocking in and out.
You're invested in the company's success and your own growth.
And you know what often gets overlooked with communication?
What's that?
Listening. Really actively listening to what others have to say.
Oh, that's huge. Communication is a two-way street.
It is. When you actually take the time to hear what someone's saying, you open yourself up to new perspectives, new ideas. You build trust.
So much of good communication is about truly listening, not just waiting for your turn to talk. I love that you brought that up.
It's a game changer in how people perceive you.
Right, so we've got our deep knowledge, we've got proactivity, we've got those strong relationships, clear communication. Am I missing anything from our irreplaceable toolkit so far?
We've got one more tool to add, and it's a big one, especially in today's world.
Okay, lay it on me.
Adaptability.
Oh, adapt or die, right?
Pretty much. The business world is constantly changing. You've got to be flexible, open to new challenges, and always willing to learn something new.
Like that saying, the only constant is change, right?
Yeah.
Especially these days.
Exactly. And those sources had a lot to say about what that looks like in the workplace.
Oh, like what? Give me an example.
Staying up to date on all the latest industry trends.
Okay, I can see that.
Attending conferences, reading those industry publications, maybe even taking some online courses in your field.
So you're not getting stuck in your ways. Always be learning.
Yes. And don't be afraid to step outside that comfort zone a bit at work. Take on those new responsibilities. That's how you really grow and develop the skills that make you so valuable.
So we've covered a lot. From mastering your current role to thinking like a CEO, even if that corner office feels miles away right now.
Baby steps.
But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's bring it back down to earth and talk about someone who actually made that climb from entry level all the way to the top.
Remember how we were talking about people who climb the ladder from like entry level all the way to CEO?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's so easy to talk about this stuff in theory.
Right.
But then you see someone like Howard Schultz who actually lived it.
Amazing story.
Talk about inspiring. I mean, the guy went from selling Xerox machines
But you imagine.
to completely revolutionizing how we think about coffee. It's mind-blowing.
His story just embodies so much of what we've been talking about, you know? He starts at the ground level, learns the business inside and out.
Right, pays his dues.
But he doesn't stop there. He sees this opportunity. Yeah.
This way to elevate the whole customer experience, and then he actually does something about it.
And he got pushback, too. I mean, it wasn't all smooth sailing.
Oh, sure.
Those original Starbucks owners.
Yeah.
Not into it, didn't share his vision for like creating this third place between work and home.
Yeah.
But he was so passionate, so convinced
Believed in his idea.
that he was willing to take a risk, start his own company just to make it happen.
Now, that's what I call a bias toward action,
Yeah.
which, by the way, was another big takeaway from all those sources we looked at.
Oh, was it?
Oh, yeah. It's not enough to just have those great ideas. You've got to be willing to put in the work, to overcome the obstacles, to see it through.
Yeah. And his story is a perfect example of what we were talking about earlier, too. Aligning your work with those bigger company goals.
Totally.
He saw this disconnect between what people wanted, this more inviting coffee experience, and what the existing coffee culture was. He saw that gap and was like, I'm going to fix that. And, well, the rest is history.
Yeah.
He didn't just build a successful business. He created a phenomenon. And a lot of that goes back to how he treated his employees, the kind of work environment he created, which, speaking of, mentorship came up a lot in these sources, too.
Oh, it did. Like having a mentor, being a mentor.
Both. And, Schultz was really big on that, famous for investing in his employees, offering things like stock options to even his baristas.
Which was unheard of at the time.
Unheard of, but it showed how much he valued their contributions. He saw them as key to the company's success, not just cogs in the machine.
And I bet that created some serious loyalty.
Yeah. Employees go the extra mile when they feel valued, when they feel like they're part of something bigger.
So it's not just about climbing that ladder yourself.
Right.
It's about bringing others up with you. A rising tide lifts all ships kind of thing.
Exactly. And listen, you don't need to be a CEO to have that mentorship mindset.
That's true.
Think about your own workplace right now. Is there someone, maybe a little junior to you, who could use some guidance? Or someone in another department whose work you admire?
That's interesting. Actually, one of the sources even suggested reaching out to people outside of your company for mentorship.
Oh, I love that.
It doesn't have to be someone senior to you or even in the same field.
Different perspectives can be so valuable.
Exactly. Find someone who challenges you, who inspires you.
Someone who can help you see things differently.
And don't forget, it's a two-way street.
Oh, totally.
Even if you're being mentored, be open to sharing your own experiences. You never know who you might end up helping in the process.
Mentorship is about mutual learning and growth, those genuine connections that can really make a difference.
So we've got the deep knowledge, being proactive, building those strong relationships, communication skills, adaptability, now mentorship. Is there anything else these articles highlighted on that path to becoming irreplaceable? Or are we getting close to the finish line here?
We're getting there. But there's one more crucial thing we haven't covered yet.
All right, don't leave me hanging. What's the secret sauce?
Okay, so you want that secret sauce to go from good to absolutely irreplaceable. It all comes down to this: taking ownership of your career trajectory.
Okay, ownership. I like it.
Yeah.
What does that actually look like in real life?
So the sources all emphasize this idea of setting really clear performance metrics for yourself.
Oh, okay. So like specific goals.
Yes. And
Yeah.
then regularly checking in, evaluating your progress. You're not just sitting back waiting for things to happen to you.
Right. You're the one in the driver's seat.
You're in control, actively shaping your career path.
So it's like having this roadmap,
Right.
But for your career with clear milestones and checkpoints along the way.
Exactly. Think about where you see yourself, like 5 years from now. What skills do you need? What kind of experience?
I love that. Having that clear vision can really light a fire.
Right. And once you've got those concrete goals, you can create a plan to get there.
Right. But there's always a but, isn't there?
Well, things change quickly these days.
Oh, tell me about it.
So you've got to be adaptable too. It's great to have that plan, but don't be afraid to adjust it along the way.
So it's not set it and forget it. It's like,
A constant dance.
yes, evaluating, reassessing, maybe pivoting when you need to.
You got it. And don't be afraid to dream big with those goals, like we saw with Howard Schultz, even those impossible dreams.
They can come true.
With enough passion, hard work, and that strategic thinking, anything is possible.
I'm so glad we did this deep dive because we covered so much. We talked about becoming that go-to expert, connecting your work back to the big picture, building those strong relationships.
Oh, and communication, don't forget that.
Right, mastering those communication skills, being adaptable, seeking out mentors.
And taking ownership of your own career journey. Setting those goals, holding yourself accountable.
All these amazing tools and strategies that can really set you apart.
It's not about some magic formula.
No, it's about consistently putting in the effort.
Show up every day ready to learn and grow.
Become the best possible version of you that you can be.
And make your mark on the world.
That's what it's all about, really. So at everyone listening, take ownership, build those skills, nurture those relationships, and never, ever stop learning.
Your journey to irreplaceable starts now.
And on that note, we'll see you all next time for another deep dive.
It all comes down to like really taking ownership of where you want your career to go, that trajectory.
Okay, ownership, I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
But I guess the million-dollar question is, what does that actually look like day to day?
So every single source we looked at really hammered home this point about setting those crystal clear performance metrics for yourself.
Got it. So we're talking specific goals. Yeah.
Yes. Don't be vague here. And then this is important. Regularly checking in with yourself, evaluating how you're doing. Are you on track? You don't want to just be passive, waiting for things to just happen to you.
Right. Take the bull by the horns or whatever the saying is.
You're the one in the driver's seat here, steering your own career path.
So it's like having this career roadmap. Yeah.
Yes. With those milestones, those checkpoints along the way.
I like that a lot. It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and forget about the bigger picture.
Totally. So where do you see yourself in, say, 5 years? What skills do you need to get there? What experience?
Having that clear vision, I can see how that would really light a fire under you.
It's powerful stuff. And once you've got those concrete goals, those really specific things you want to achieve, well, then you can actually create a plan to get there, right?
Absolutely. But, and maybe this is just me being a pessimist, there's always a but, isn't there? Like, what about when things inevitably change? Because let's face it, the business world.
Oh, it's constantly changing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do you even begin to stay on track when it feels like the goalposts are constantly moving?
And that, my friend, is where that adaptability we were talking about earlier comes in. Having a plan is fantastic, crucial even, but we've got to be willing to adjust as needed.
So it's not a set it and forget it approach. It's more like,
It's a dance.
yes,
Yeah.
a constant back and forth. Okay, I could work with that.
You got to be evaluating how it's going, reassessing those goals, and don't be afraid to totally pivot if you need to.
It's so true. Sometimes those unexpected detours can lead to the best opportunities.
Yeah.
But before we get completely off track, I wanted to circle back to something you said earlier about, dreaming big with those goals.
Oh, yeah.
Because we've been talking about Howard Schultz this whole episode, and his story is like the ultimate example of even those seemingly impossible dreams.
With enough passion and hard work, a little strategic thinking.
Anything is possible.
Anything.
I love that. And I think that's such a great note to end on because we've covered so much ground today from becoming that go-to expert in your niche, connecting your work back to the bigger company goals, building those strong relationships, mastering those communication skills, being adaptable, seeking out amazing mentors.
Taking ownership of your own career destiny. Setting those goals, and most importantly, holding yourself accountable.
Because it's not about relying on some magical formula or lucky break.
Yeah.
It's about consistently showing up, putting in the effort, and always being open to learning and growing, both personally and professionally.
And who knows, maybe one day you'll be the one inspiring us with your story.
I love that. So to everyone listening, take ownership, build those skills, nurture those relationships, and never, ever stop learning because your journey to irreplaceable starts right now. And on that note, we'll see you all next time for another deep dive.